Welcome to Retro Fanfic Retrospective, the podcast where we dredge up old fanfiction and expose it to the cold, harsh light of 2019. My name is Amato, and with me are...
Tori.
And Dom.
And in fact, this is actually the last episode we are recording in 2018. Although it's getting released in 2019, like last time. I'm just making some assumptions that the cold, harsh light of 2019 is going to look very similar to the cold, harsh light of 2018.
It's still January.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But who knows? Maybe something will
know,
drastically change in how we perceive fan fiction.
Yeah, we started this back in August, I want to say. So we'd already been exposed to the cold, harsh light of 2018. I feel like 2019 is full of possibilities. We may have a warm and lightheartedly amused light.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
I guess we're just talking about the fanfic today. Oh, well, I guess we can ask about Christmas.
Well, how was everyone's New Year?
It's yet to happen yet. I don't know.
Well, but you should know by the time this is released. Therefore, you should know now.
Okay, so I'll just edit it in then.
That seems inauthentic.
My New Year's was fine and also good.
I did. Went for a walk.
I did went for a walk.
In any case, it's irrelevant because our fanfiction today is set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Not long time ago, far away.
No, that's not a song or something.
I can still remember how that music used to make me feel.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is that Weird Al cover that's episode 1 based, which is my preferred form of Star Wars episode 1.
Not. Oh wait, we didn't read. This author did a Star Wars episode 1 that is
Did they?
different.
I didn't know that.
It seems like they implied that they did.
No,
Yeah.
they implied it, but they didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yes, in any case, yes, our fanfiction today is Fall of the Republic, a piece of Star Wars fanfiction from 1983 by John L. Flynn, and it comes with its own interesting backstory that may take as long to talk about as the fanfic itself, because it's very short.
Well, it's not much of a fanfic. It's just like a short spec script.
It's a spec script, but it was written by a fan.
Right.
And you can have fanfiction in script form.
I'm saying that's what we're looking at.
Right. The deal is, this is a spec script for Star Wars Episode 3 that a fan named John L. Flynn wrote and sent to George Lucas. And George Lucas was like, yeah, we're not using this to film a movie, but you can publish it as fan fiction as long as you don't make a profit off of it. And John L. Flynn said, great, I'll do that. And he started selling copies at conventions for apparently like $4 each, like nicely bound, printed out and all that. And then somebody else, some unscrupulous fan, saw the profit potential in it, bought a copy, rebranded it as a leaked script of Episode 3 from Lucasfilm, and started selling it for $15 a copy with like a nice professional looking cover and stuff.
I do like how this scheme involves charging $10 more.
Which is also hilarious because I don't feel like this reads like an actual film script would read in any way. Even a spec script. I mean, it's not that it's badly written or anything. It just doesn't have the same flow.
I don't know much about film pitches. Yeah, this isn't even a script. It's just an outline.
It's just not a script. It's very loose. Maybe if they're branding it as George Lucas's loose notes.
Yeah.
My information about this is coming from the fan lore article about the fanfic. And, I mean, obviously, there was a bit of a hullabaloo, and for many, many years afterwards, fans were going online to, the early Star Wars news groups or whatever, being like, hey, I have a copy of this script. And they're all like, we know.
No, it's one of a kind.
It's interesting because the funny part is obviously someone else did the same thing, but this person's just happened to be the one that people thought was...
Other people did the same thing. How do you mean? I mean, maybe people
Other
did.
people must have written their own versions, but maybe no one published them and sold them at cons.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not as...
Well marketed?
Yeah, thank you. That is exactly what I was going to say.
Now, the early copies are apparently from January 82, or it's unclear whether it's 82 or 83. It seems like maybe the draft that's out there is post-Return of the Jedi, and so the author had all 3 movies to work with.
I was going to say Return of the Jedi was in 83, right?
Yeah.
I believe. I'm not 100% on that.
But that is all this author had to work with, and this is, of course, supposed to be the episode chronologically set before A New Hope.
Right.
Right. And should we jump into discussing it?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, to begin with, they do a volcanic duel. But, well, no. To begin with, it's the text crawl.
Right.
Excuse me. So who's going to read it and who's going to hum the music? Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the old republic was crumbling.
Let's not do that, actually.
Okay.
It sounds terrible.
I'm sure it does. Anyway, to summarize, the old republic is in decline. Power-hungry technocrats and bureaucrats are in office. One ambitious senator is plotting to destroy the Jedi. Was it established that Palpatine had formerly been a senator in the original trilogy?
You know, that's fascinating.
Because I don't think it was.
Don't think that it was at all.
Must have been in episode 4, and if in any of them they talked about maybe
The Senate, briefly.
The Senate being dissolved, I think.
Yeah, they said
But
the Senate being was dissolved, but
But I don't recall them saying that Palpatine was a senator. Maybe it's briefly mentioned.
maybe it is. I'm not enough of a Star Wars continuity nerd.
Also, as a side note, I love the word technocrat, even though I have no idea what it means.
Or perhaps
Is it just a technical aristocrat?
it's like an autocrat, but like with technology. It's like
People
somebody
with access to the technology and
that other people's don't.
Right.
exactly who rule via access to
It's not
technology.
a humanoid robot that's made to be extra fancy
No.
and throw fancy parties.
Technocracy is actually a word, so I can see where they came from. This like a world in which people are, like the rulership is who has the most technology.
Autocracy,
And
autocrat.
the Technocracy is a villain from the X-Men comics of the 90s.
A whole technocracy?
An entire Technocracy.
But it's funny because it's like access to technology is access to money anyway, so I don't really know where they're going with this except
Yeah.
that it's very specific to sci-fi, I suppose.
Well, it sounds sci-fi as fuck, so
Yeah,
I think that's where
exactly.
they're going.
In any case, so it's saying like the people, these bad people are working their way into office and like seizing power, and like the integrity of the government's being compromised in that way. But then the text crawl says that hoping to restore virtue and the remembered glory of the Republic, the High Council of Senators dispatched the Jedi Knights to go look for a MacGuffin crystal, which is supposed to blah da blah da blah da unite the disaffected among the people and blah da blah da destroy the corruption
The
around them.
Kyber crystal.
I think I've heard that before. I think they have newer Star Wars series where they search for the Kyber crystal.
Interesting.
I think that's a Star Wars canon thing.
Then this author may, I don't know what was around in
So-
Star Wars canon back then. Maybe initial draft scripts they had, because they introduced this as saying it's from the Journal of the Wills, which was a concept that Lucas was considering as a framing device in his early drafts, that like this was all stuff about the Jedi written by this group or something
Yes.
called the Wills.
Bunch of wills.
Something I was going to say is, I think there was at 83 some extended universe stuff. Like, I don't know if the Glove of Darth Vader had come out at that point. That's probably too soon for that. But
I don't know. The Marvel comic,
maybe it did. Yeah, definitely people were writing some Star Wars extended universe stuff. And I don't know how publicly available it was or where it was. But there were other things they could have drawn on. And I was going to say that because I don't know if Senator Palpatine, maybe that appeared in some other media other than the
maybe.
films. My chronology is not perfect, so...
Well, the Jedi Knights are dispatched on a quest to retrieve the lost Kyber crystal, which is a small diamond-like object which intensifies the power of the Force. But Senator Palpatine also, quote, foreseeing that the crystal would secure his position as Emperor somehow, deceived one of the Jedi Knights and sent him to acquire the crystal. And this is presumably all Episode 2 stuff.
Yeah.
Because I really do not understand what led up to this at the beginning of this movie.
Like, there's nothing in this movie. This is a third in a trilogy where we haven't seen the other two.
Right.
Right.
Which is, okay, assume that, Anakin's on the senator's side at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And this is where I assumed that the author had written a first and a second one as well, especially because they use some quotes. Like, there's one point where they, like, reference this, and I thought that was another thing they had written. But
Yeah, who knows?
anyway.
So it starts off with Anakin Skywalker, who, by the way, they describe as a handsome, swarthy man with a dignified stature.
Yeah, swarthy, and, like, his kids are both pretty, like...
Blonde.
Luke's blonde and blue-eyed.
To be fair, my kids are pretty blonde-haired and blue-eyed
That's
also.
true, and you're relatively swarthy.
I'm relatively swarthy.
I was blonde as a little kid, too.
I'm also a handsome man with a dignified stature. Yeah, Dom, actually, I was blonde as a kid, too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll see how
I mean,
that
I
goes.
was too, so.
Yeah. Well, aren't you still?
Yeah, but that's fake. It's fake blonde. Sorry, listeners. I know you thought I was a real blonde.
So many illusions shattered.
So the kyber crystal is an actual thing. It's got a huge entry on Wikipedia. I'm not sure where it started, but like I have probably heard of it from KOTOR 2, where they talked about it.
Well, Anakin Skywalker just finds it using his lightsaber as a divining rod. He's like, oh, here it is. And he picks it up. And then he immediately gets into a deadly duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's on a volcanic planet with like cataclysmic earthquakes and spouts of flame. And it's all very end of episode 3.
Yeah. Shockingly.
It's pretty cool, actually. I was like, oh, I feel like I can imagine this because I literally saw it in theaters.
Actually, this was the point at which I went back up to the top to go, wait, when was this published? Because I thought I'd read it wrong, and I was not wrong.
And it's pretty cool because Anakin gets fried in scene 1, pretty much.
He does, at the very beginning of the movie. It's a strong start.
And it's cool because, like, if you think about this as a prequel, we, as people who've seen the 4th, 5th, and 6th movies, all know that Anakin and Obi-Wan have a falling out. They fight, and Anakin gets injured, burnt, and then becomes Darth Vader. So, like, what did happen with the actual prequel is, like, we were watching the whole thing, like, waiting for that moment because we knew that was happening.
Right.
But if you write it knowing that everybody's assuming that, then if you get that right off the bat, then you don't have to sit there and wait for it the whole time, and you can actually talk about it and develop new things and move on.
That's true. You have avenues of suspense in other ways because
correct.
you all knew this was coming in one way or another.
Yeah, and jumping off that, like, they filled in the gaps in between there and what happened, in the next several years, which was nice. Like, they didn't necessarily fill in all of those years. We'll get to that. But it was kind of disappointing that there was such a huge time skip between episode 3 and episode 4, knowing that there's no episode 3.5.
Yeah.
So that's never going to be explained to
That was
us
fun.
exactly what happened.
Well,
So-
that's not true because there's so many Star Wars spin-offs coming out now that it very well could
yeah,
be.
okay,
And
good
so, like,
point.
if you're watching this movie in the theaters, you start off going, oh, okay, the only thing I know was going to happen happened.
Now it happens.
Now I just have to enjoy the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anakin loses his footing as he does and falls into lava as he does. But in this case, it's a pit of molten lava, and Kenobi goes over and looks down. And he's like, well, he's super dead. With tears in his eyes and anguish in his heart, Obi-Wan picks up Anakin's lightsaber, because he needs to have that, and bids a sad farewell to the body of his friend.
Right.
So scene 2, it switches to, this is, I'm blanking on the actual canon name of the center of the Republic.
Coruscant?
Coruscant. It's Coruscant, except it's Jantor.
Well, but that's weird, though, because the author would have clearly known about Coruscant.
Why?
Because it was in episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Was it?
Yeah, that's where Lando's from.
It is?
Yes.
I do not remember that.
It's been a while since I've seen those, honestly.
Yes, Lando lives in Coruscant, and they go there for his help.
No, they go to Cloud City.
Oh, you're right. But
Yep.
Coruscant was in the Monopoly game. I had Star Wars Monopoly as a kid. That's
Okay.
maybe why I'm getting them confused.
I'm not sure where Coruscant entered the official Star Wars canon.
But it was after the original trilogy.
Okay, maybe I'm remembering from the books. Why do I think Lando? Okay.
Well, the capital here is
I'm gonna look
Jantor.
something up.
Need to
Hold
know
on a
when that
second.
Monopoly game was published and how it fits into canon.
Well,
How canon
Coruscant
is
was
it?
the one that was worth the most. Anyway, moving on.
Tori, in Star Wars Monopoly, can I play as a Hutt? Is that one of the pieces I can...
No. The pieces, I don't even remember the pieces. Where I think they were like Luke and Leia and R2-D2 and C-3PO.
If I'm going to be buying land...
Darth
and
Vader's helmet.
I do not recall, but that would be funny as like the top hat.
If I'm going to be a wealth-seeking landlord, I want the options to be a Hutt, Lando...
I'm going to say Jawa because you usually say Jawa about these
I
things.
was about to say
it
Jawa.
appears in Return of the Jedi. Coruscant appears in the Return of the
Oh,
Jedi.
okay. Well,
Just saying.
it's Jantor here.
Also,
Okay.
it could have been a capital that got moved after the Empire.
Yeah, sure.
You can hand wave or lampshade a lot of these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it's kind of fun with the opening crawl because they talk about the corruption of the Empire, corruption of the Senate turning into an empire, which is a fun historical mirror over what happened with Rome and Caesar.
Yeah.
Just the slow corruption of all the people, and like people talk about how sad it was that the Senate was destroyed, but at that point the Senate was extremely corrupt and kind of worse.
And the Galactic Senate is also corrupt because this scene is basically Palpatine in his Senate chambers, and he's got a sidekick named Prince Valerium, who's just a jerk. Unlike Palpatine, who is a jerk, but also a villain.
I don't mind you saying Palpatine, but
Palpatine.
I do mind you switching between Palpatine and Palpatine.
What am I supposed to say?
What? Listen to your heart, but Palpatine, I think. But,
Palpatine.
But just stick to one.
Palpatine is saying... I'll just say it differently every time. Palpatine.
Okay, one thing I do want to say is that Coruscant was known as the Imperial Center during the Imperial era.
Yes.
So I'm reading more, but I would say that it was perhaps after the Imperials fully took control that it became more of the booming metropolis that it is.
That they moved
That's
the
a possibility.
capital?
They moved the capital.
Yeah,
So
you get a
it's
no
possible
prize story.
Jantor was there, like, before that.
No matter what we say, we're
Or they
going to
changed
have
the name,
the
is
real
perhaps
Star
what I
Wars
was trying to
nerds
say.
shouting at us if any of them
Oh,
are
yeah,
listening.
no.
I'm just going to assume it's an
I don't know enough.
Edo Tokyo
Whatever.
thing.
Also, it's theoretically the homeworld of a human species.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
weird.
I know.
Anyway, Pal Diddy is expositing about how he has blackmailed most of the High Council, but he's concerned with 3 senators who cannot be swayed. Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Tara Courtney.
Which doesn't sound like a very Star Wars name, but all right.
Tara maybe, Courtney not so much.
Yeah.
So basically he's going to try to eliminate them and then have his troops take over the spice and mineral mines and blockade the commercial shipping lanes. And just like Star Wars Episode 1, as soon as they start talking about shipping lanes and such, I just glaze over it.
Yes, but they don't dwell on it.
That is true. It is an improvement.
It's also not in the opening text scroll.
Right. That's also good. So far, an improvement. A couple of his personal guard or young officers named Lieutenant Mahdi and Commander Tarkin, who we probably won't hear from again,
Right.
are like, but what about the Jedi? And Palpatine is like, I know how to deal with that.
I'm sorry if I made you self-conscious.
I'm a little self-conscious. And Palpatine has a crystal ball that he strokes like Queen Beryl, and like, you know, it's actually technology or whatever. There's latitude and longitude lines, and it shows him an image of Sigma Vulcanus. These images combine and crystallize on the single image of the dead Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, he's dead.
But he fell into a pool of molten lava.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like he's just lying there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yep.
You know, you get all those corpses from all the lava accidents.
Well, he's
Yes.
still alive, by the way.
No, he's dead.
Well,
No,
he's
he's dead.
dead. Yeah, okay,
And
you're
it's,
right.
it's kind of a cool scene next.
It's not clear whether
Yeah.
he's fully dead or not, I guess, is
But
what I'm trying to say.
I'd be
They
okay-
say he's dead.
I'd
You
be
have a
okay
good
with the
point.
scene because, like, the next scene from it is pretty awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like, 4 shadowy figures, you can only see their dark hooded robes. They approach the charred, motionless body of Anakin Skywalker, and they, like, place him on the ground, and they begin to tend to his injuries. I like this quote. One robed figure motions to the other, bring me the herbs and remedies. He actually says nothing, but is instantly understood by the others. And I can totally just imagine this. It feels like a very Star Wars scene.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
and
like,
so...
wow, who are all these cool characters?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so they sprinkle him with herbs and spices and, you know,
Backed, I assume.
Herbs and spices.
give him some chapstick, like, and then the
They
fourth
break
begins,
out the gravy.
Pull out the wishbone.
and the fourth begins to chant, and we see the lifeless body of Anakin Skywalker stir. Then we
Yeah.
cut to Dagobah, which is apparently, in this continuity, just where Yoda lives, like, full-time.
Because, like, why not? Where else is Yoda?
I mean, he seems like he's a swamp creature, sure, I guess.
I mean, were we ever given any indication that he doesn't live there?
Only that he's in hiding.
Yes.
And if it was known that he lived there, then probably something would have happened.
Or that Yoda was in hiding at this point also.
So that's
That's a possibility. That's
Yeah.
unexplored.
yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I feel like something that I always felt as a kid from the movies, like, I think the movies did indicate that he was in hiding, but, like, not till the end. I always felt like it was, like, some sort of familiar planet to him that he was, like, very comfortable in. Like, maybe not his home, but, like, something he definitely made a home out of. I don't know.
And Obi-Wan's there. Obi-Wan went to talk to Yoda, and he's unhappy because he had to kill Anakin. They have a weird conversation. Anakin's like, I have failed, Master Yoda. And Yoda says, Wait, who's going to do the Yoda voice?
Not me.
I don't do a good Frank Oz, I think.
Well, I'm not saying any of us will do a good one.
Well, I can give it a shot.
I don't have it pulled up because I don't think I can. I mean, I'd love to, but
Most important lesson you have learned.
Oh, no, that's the second
Is that
part.
one? Oh, no, okay. I'm going to try it. No good is it yet to teach you when you have not yet learned patience, humility.
Yeah, that's
No.
worse than I expected.
Yeah, I know. I told you it was going to be bad.
And then Obi-Wan says, "But Anakin was my friend. The Force was with him very strongly, and I thought that I could be as good a teacher as you were with me. I fear my mistake may have terrible consequences for the galaxy." And then Yoda says, "Most important lesson have you learned. Now a great burden you carry."
Okay, mine was more authentic, though.
I
You
just
didn't
wasn't
even
trying. I wasn't trying.
Yeah, at least I tried, Amato.
But here's the thing, Obi-Wan says, "I have failed," and Yoda's like, "You haven't learned patience and humility." And then Obi-Wan's like, "I have failed again." And then Yoda's like, "Oh, you've learned a great lesson." I just don't get the flow of the conversation.
Yeah.
Whatever. But Yoda reveals that Anakin's not dead, and that bad things are going to be going down.
Well, no, because doesn't he say that I thought I could be as good a teacher as you were with me?
Mm-hmm.
And Yoda's implication is the lesson he learned is that he couldn't have been that teacher.
Yeah, but he was just elaborating on his failure. He didn't, have a change of what he was saying.
No, but his lesson, Yoda's saying it's a good thing that he's learned his lesson about this.
Yeah, don't
He's
try
saying,
to teach anyone
even
again.
Well, no, he's saying even though you failed in this, you've learned that you couldn't have succeeded in it. And I think it's supposed to be, because Yoda is cryptic, more along the lines of, you learned that this person, you weren't able to save him and maybe no one else would have been able to. Not that you failed necessarily. He's like, I failed. But, he's saying you learned that no matter how hard you try with certain people, you're not going to save them. That was my takeaway.
Okay.
I might have
That
been
makes sense.
reaching, but it was Star Wars, so I reached for the positive meaning.
I'm sure they'll make it clearer when they, go over the script a few times.
Yeah.
Before they film it.
Yeah.
I
When
just
they
kinda skipped-
actually produced this movie.
I just kind of skipped this entire part.
Yeah,
So,
I mean-
yeah, exposition, yeah.
Basically, Obi-Wan's like, I gotta go fight what Palpatine's doing in the Old Republic. He thinks of the lives of his friends, Lady Arcadia Skywalker and Bail Organa. And so he heads off to Jantor.
Which is already a cooler sounding character than, yeah.
Arcadia Skywalker? That's a pretty Star Wars name.
Yeah.
I know, right?
So,
Name.
Lady Arcadia.
that's the first we've heard of him, right? Mm-hmm. And we got another main character who I'm sure we're already supposed to know if this was actually in Episode 3.
Yeah.
Which is Captain
Now,
Antilles.
Is it supposed to actually be Wedge?
No, it's supposed to be Wedge's father, I'm
Father.
sure.
Yeah, it's mustache 30-year-old, but yeah, Wedge is only
Wedge was
30
not a
years
mustache
old.
30-year-old at this time in continuity, no.
No, he would have only been 30 years old in the original continuity. So this must be his dad. That was where I was confused. Is I was are they just making a mistake about how old he is? Because I couldn't remember how old he was actually supposed to be. 20, 30? I don't know.
It's got to be a parent. But,
He's got to be his parent.
wait, yeah, it's got to be. Anyway, he's got a shipping vessel of some kind. He runs into the blockade that Palpatine is setting up.
I'm sorry, Amato. Just forget about it. Live your bliss.
He's also got 3PO with him. And that's really about it. He's boarded by some of Palpatine's guys. And we can probably actually go a little bit faster in terms of what happens in this, I suppose. Mm-hmm. We meet Arcadia Skywalker, Lady Arcadia Skywalker, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And she's a senator. No, she's not a senator. She's not a senator. She's a big
She's a
wig
beautiful
in,
matron.
and she's a big wig in trade.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Traders Guild or something they've
Right.
established. Something Runners Guild.
Yeah. She hears of that senator with the non-Star Wars name being assassinated, Tara Courtney. She's dead now. We don't have to worry about her name anymore.
Good.
I know, they took care of that swiftly.
And she's already had a falling out with Anakin over the course of however long. And so she's got an unborn child or two inside her, and she's worried about her safety, understandably, because Palpatine's seizing power.
Yeah.
And
Was this the point where Palpatine mentions that they're going to start rounding people up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to get out of there with her diplomatic immunity from some source, but Palpatine comes in and he's like, "Oh no, you are being placed under protective custody because of all this chaos going on."
Because I want to control your spouse.
Exactly.
Yes.
And speaking of controlling a spouse, we have a scene 7 Unfortunately, our recording equipment had a 17-second long dropout here, where we started to describe the whole first half of this next scene. In this scene, we are introduced to the monastic order of the Sith, who are some mysterious hooded figures who revive Darth Vader and then start kind of training him in their secret monastery on this planet. And that's why Tori starts talking about them making wine or cheese in this monastery.
They actually don't have a monastery. They're just described as the monastic order of the Sith.
Oh, okay.
Well, it wasn't my joke because I don't remember thinking about monks making wine or cheese. I don't think I ever knew that.
That definitely was me.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't blame me
that
for that
topic.
one. Retreat high atop a mountain ridge, so definitely a place to make cheese.
Are they a cheese-making monastery or a wine-making monastery?
Or beer, maybe also.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a cool montage where they forge a set of armor for Anakin. They amputate his arms and limbs that no longer function and encase the torso in his armor. I did not know that was a thing for Darth Vader, but
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
it is.
His limbs are robotic.
Oh yeah, they're always been robotic.
All right,
so,
cool.
That's been known. The thing that confuses me though is when they like cast his skull.
No, they put a
Would
skull-like mask on him.
Oh, okay.
Skull-like in appearance.
Oh,
They
okay.
forged battle armor and metal breathe screen, skull-like in appearance. They'll
No.
cover his demolished visage.
And
Yes.
then they-
Visage. I like how you
Visage.
say that.
I'm a technocrat.
I say visage, but all right.
No.
Yeah.
And then he gets a training montage in dark sorcery and the sinister machinations of the Force and how to make a better lightsaber 201.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Using fragments of the shattered Kyber crystal. And Vader's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm only alive because of these people, and I have no way off this planet, and they're teaching me stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
He knows he's being trained as a power weapon, and yet he cannot conceive why. But eventually he runs out of patience and strikes down one of the hooded teachers, only to discover
Da-da-da.
there's nothing underneath.
Da-da-da.
They were wearing nothing underneath the robe.
Oh.
No, actually.
I like his reaction to this. I like this line though. He's like strikes out in rage at one of his hood teachers, only to discover an empty robe. He is momentarily terror-stricken and then mystified as one by one the hooded figures vanish in a strangely compelling way. What does that mean? To reveal a 3D holographic image of Palpatine, a strangely compelling way. I'm just like, okay.
I think it'd be like one of those fades where you have the stunt person in the cloak, then like the other shot is like the cloak falling to the ground, but it's shot in slow motion. It's a slow fade in between the two images.
So you almost think you're gonna see someone naked?
No, just like
I'm just
just
kidding.
like bad '80s editing, where
Yeah.
you just have like instead of like special effects, they just slowly fade the two images.
That's very
Yeah,
possible.
probably.
I'm just struggling to find what's compelling about that, but all right.
And
I think that's how you do compelling in '80s cinematography.
Okay. I totally believe you.
Palpatine reveals himself as a 3D image and is like, yep, I saved you. It was my will that saved you and sustained you, that kept you alive, that gave you that life again. You owe your life to me. And Vader's like, yeah, okay, so I guess I'll serve you now.
I mean, I was serving you before, but now I
Now
guess
extra serve you. Palpatine does remind him that he has the power to crush him should he desire.
I'll most likely kill you in the morning. Good night.
Raising someone from the dead remotely and then training them in a little monastery school that makes cheese probably remotely.
Makes cheese even though they're disembodied robe figures.
Well, for export, Tori.
Well, they're also not completely disembodied because they did pick up Vader and do surgery.
Right, yeah.
So they had physical
Where
forms.
did that come?
Well, what I was trying to say is
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool use of the Force.
That
like,
Yeah.
Because like you never really find out why Palpatine is Sith Supreme in this.
Right.
But this is like
a
huge
good point.
evil sorcerer powers.
That's a good
Like,
point.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I was impressed, and it didn't even have
So
to be
you
a
really
destructive
created
method.
a lot of bodies.
Yeah,
Like, just
like just-
force bodies.
Yeah, for sure. From the other side of the
See, I
galaxy
thought
while
there
he was doing other
some
stuff.
Other trick involved to this, but no, they were force bodies. Okay.
Luke Skywalker did
I thought
one.
they were holograms.
Luke
But
Skywalker did one Force body, and it couldn't touch anything.
yeah.
So Palpatine was probably stronger than Luke ever was.
Yeah. So
Palpatine.
I just like it because it sells him as being super powerful in the Force without having to do anything crass.
It's kind of classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next scene, Obi-Wan.
Elegant.
Yeah.
Really.
Obi-Wan gets to Jantor. He hooks up with Antilles. Both of them are kind of trying to bust out Lady Skywalker. from her protective custody. But she's in a prison cell block, so it's not, the kind of homebound protective custody. They have the help of... Oh, Antilles is looking for help from the Merchanters Guild.
That's what it is. That's what they're members of.
The Merchanters Guild. They merchant. He also discovered a R2 unit that had slipped away during her captures. That was her R2 unit. And
before this, they mentioned 3PO.
Yeah, 3PO is Antilles'.
Right.
And so we've got some protagonists together.
I missed that highlight because instead of highlighting, I drew a bird on the page.
And
wait, what? Well, that's a good bird. It looks like a chocobo. I'm just not sure why you did it.
Oh, because it's yellow.
Then we cut back to Palpatine, who is honestly getting he's like a main character in this. He's getting as much time as anyone else is.
Well, he should, because Palpatine means something.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I feel like he actually didn't get enough screen time in the original movies.
Yeah.
Well, not even the prequels, like the original movies, you always wanted to know his motivation. Well, yeah, then I guess you're right, because in the prequels, they don't give you a whole lot, too. They give you more than you think they're going to give you, but then it's just, not enough at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah. He has a prisoner who is Boba Fett, the lone survivor of a group of commandos the Jedi defeated on Mandalore during the Clone Wars.
Now, this surprised me.
Let's not try to unpack what is known about Mandalore by the fans at this time, because I don't want to think about it.
What is the current Mandalore about this?
Yeah, well done.
Something that I wanted to note is that Boba Fett was a slaver. Was that something that was canon?
I think nothing about Boba Fett was known.
Right.
He's
being
charged. He was
charged.
just kind of a vigilante and kind of just bad at what he does.
It was mostly
except
just
for surviving the Sarlacc pit. Whatever.
Boba Fett was basically just a visual design.
Yeah. Actually, if you'd only seen the movies, he wouldn't have even survived the Sarlacc pit, because that was only an extended universe.
Yeah, but this was before that, so.
But they give him a personality trait here.
So he was nothing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, he showed up first in the Star Wars Holiday Special. How much can you expect from him?
Yeah, he was literally he was literally just a bounty hunter that died right away. Right. Except, I guess, didn't really die. But at the time, in the movies, we thought he died, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure he died and never shows up again.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
In this case, he has a personality trait, which is that he really friggin' hates Jedi. And one of the things he's being charged with, Tori, here's where you were thinking of, is the cold-blooded murder of the Jedi Kane Starkiller, referred to Star Wars Episode 2.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Starkiller, of course, the original name for Luke Skywalker.
For Skywalker, yeah. Which I knew, but I was just like, what are you talking about?
And Palpatine offers him, we could punish you, or I could just have you go kill more Jedi. And Boba Fett is like, yeah, that sounds good.
And Palpatine is doing a lot of making villains turn merchant marine sort of thing.
Privateers.
Yeah, privateers. That is a great word for it.
That's right. And, there's some other business. He tells Prince Valerium to go supervise Lady Arcadia's execution. Then he lets Vader in. And he shows Vader that Lady Arcadia has been murdered by the other Jedi. For reasons.
Because Jedi are mean,
Yeah, Jedi. Freaking Jedi.
Yeah, they never established what caused Vader to really turn to Palpatine's side at this point, to be honest. That's a little frustrating.
But he must have been suspicious of the Jedi, because otherwise the scene makes no sense.
Right. And but we don't even know anything about his origin story at this point, about Anakin's origin story. We just know that he was tricked by Palpatine into retrieving the crystal, rebuilt, and then influenced in a dark training. So essentially a brainwashing is what happened to him.
And we would have started this movie with all that stuff happening in the previous movies.
Yeah, we would have known more about previous Palpatine's influence, I suppose.
Yeah.
Though I can't necessarily say that I don't just take that away from having seen the prequel movies. But
Yeah.
So this one does seem a little disconnected in that sense.
It should be some reminder as to why or motivation.
Yeah. I mean, they do imply that he's tricked, and then they just say he's tricked and then imply he's brainwashed. So
I don't even know if they imply he's brainwashed. At this point, this scene ends.
Undergoes a dark training.
Yeah, but educational.
I guess.
There's evil math or something. I don't know.
Right.
But he's also revived by these people and then inundated into their cult essentially. He would have been dead otherwise. So I feel like there should have been more explicit. I guess is what I feel, but.
Well, in this case, Palpatine shows him images of his former mate, I have no idea what the relationship is, being murdered. And when the last image vanishes, the Dark Lord, fooled by the false images, stands, ignites his lightsaber, and strikes the crystal globe with monumental anger. And this rage completes Vader's journey to the dark side. Because I'm pretty sure anger leads to hate, which leads to suffering, which leads to the dark side. So they're skipping a few steps.
Wait.
Fear leads to anger.
Yeah.
Anger leads to hate.
This is the condensed version.
Right.
It
These two
was anger, anger leads to
suffering.
hate. Hate leads to the dark side. Is that what it is? Hate leads to suffering. Suffering is the dark side. I don't know.
We're such
Sorry,
good
Star Wars fans. I know. We're doing
That
really
we can't
bad.
quote that the quote from the prequels that everybody loves so much.
Yeah, it's
But
not a good one.
Even so, this kind of replaces the actual prequel scene, which consists entirely of Vader stepping off the slab and going, "Where's Padme?" She's dead, and him just going, "No."
Yes, I'll be a
so-
Nazi now.
Yeah, man. Like, we all experience loss.
Yeah, can we
but
talk about the
dude,
prequels? Like that Vader jump was huge and inexplicable. I mean, just from
just like this one
random
is
moody
kind
teen
of.
to murdering the young.
Yeah, no, that was the worst. It was just the worst. This is a lot better because they don't even try to explain that Anakin was a good guy. Before this, just like he was a Jedi. He might have been okay.
Like he was probably a good guy
You know?
in movie 1 and movie 2. He
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
mixed, and at the end of movie 2, he got turned and started
Just-
movie 3.
I like this because you get more imagination. Like Anakin might have started out just kind of like an asshole and just went further asshole, or there could have been external circumstances, but really nothing happened to make him so evil in the prequels. It was just like, wow, you're just kind of, just yeah.
Can I just mention the murdering the youngling scene in the theater? That was one of the movies where I was still watching it
Oh.
on the release date when it came out.
Yeah.
So I was watching with a bunch of other geeks who watched it like a midnight showing, and even they didn't have any mercy for it when they had like him facing the children.
No
It
mercy.
was like, Master Skywalker, what are you doing? He just turns on the lightsaber. There was a chuckle / laugh throughout the entire theater.
I think I laughed there too.
It was
I know.
hilarious.
Actually, what I did want to say, because you bring up that's what you're bringing up for me, is that in this he turns fully evil like after he gets like his dark training,
Right.
Whereas in that it like after he gets burnt,
Right.
and almost like he goes through a traumatic experience and it changes his life.
Yeah.
That's what makes the prequel so uncanny, is that he's turning evil before any of that happens. Like, there's no reason. He has a wife that, like, or a girlfriend that loves him. Like, he's got all this stuff going on for him, and he's still hot and all that stuff. I know that Hayden Christensen is hot. I don't think he is, but he's fine.
Sorry,
Whatever.
Hayden Christensen.
Sorry, Hayden Christensen. At least not in those movies. Anyway, he's, like, doing fine, but he's still turning evil. And,
There's lots of things we could say about the episode 3 in
But
particular.
I did want to say
let's
that, like,
let's live in
that's
a
what I
better
meant.
world.
That's what I meant about this, is that he doesn't start turning evil until after he's nearly burnt to death, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of fights. Does he fight Obi-Wan? Yeah, he kind of does, but it's only about this, like, weird misunderstanding, it seems. Anyway.
Now, Obi-Wan and Antilles in scene 10, they bust out Lady Arcadia, and she immediately starts going into contractions, or maybe she already was, because,
Yeah.
that's how things go in an action movie where somebody is pregnant.
I mean, stress, right? That's a thing.
No, it is.
I mean, it's a
Yeah,
thing,
It
it's true.
absolutely is.
And so, there's an action scene. In the middle of it, Kenobi, why am I calling him Kenobi? Because the script is calling him Kenobi.
Yes.
Obi-Wan senses Anakin's turn to the dark side in his rage, and he has a moment where he's like, well, that's not good.
Well, that's all, folks.
But there's not much he can do about it. And they manage to escape. Kenobi does not go with Antilles on the freighter escaping with Arcadia, because he explains that he needs to go warn his fellow knights of Vader's treachery.
Good job, Obi-Wan.
And I guess they don't have cell phones in the distant future past, because, I don't know, he doesn't make phone calls. Yep.
Well, minutes are expensive.
That's true.
Yeah.
He probably only has local.
It's like interplanetary calls, It's like twice the rate.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we get the moment, the contractually obligated villain moment, where Prince Valerium, who was the one who was supposed to go kill Skywalker and who just got beaten up by some protagonists, goes back to Palpatine, and Palpatine strikes him down and is like, do not fail me again. And he also orders the arrest of Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, which I would have thought he would have done before, like at the same time he was assassinating the other senator.
He was assassinating other people, like, on the sidelines, like, not in the main spotlight. This is a big public move.
Right. That's true. Searching the whole city.
Right. This is the turning point from clandestine dealings to I'm the emperor now.
We get a scene 12 where Antilles and Skywalker get back to the starship, and she gives birth. The moment is a joyous, mystic one as Luke and Leia take their first breath and begin crying. So I'm glad they go straight to crying babies, because that's the baby experience, except actually maybe not, sometimes not in the first moments, whatever.
Well, I mean, as long as they get the mystic magic swords right, that's cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mystic and magic.
Yes.
But the special sound of babies crying brings a detachment of troops down upon them.
You know,
I like the author's note here,
Yeah.
which is that he's like, oh, build suspense here about, oh, the troops are coming down on them, but actually it's Bail Organa's personal guard.
yeah,
it's
and
fine.
they make a note to say they're dressed differently from stormtroopers, but there should still be audience suspense. But another thing that I thought was funny, I read this line over and over again, the special sound of babies crying. I was
Yes.
like, is there another word they could have used there? Like, I really thought in my head, I was like, special. I mean, it is special. Like, it's unique. And special implies something kind of nice, but it just, I couldn't, this word special just had such a strange resonance in that.
I just
this
listen to babies
Goose
crying all the time.
line. I know.
Put on loop.
Yeah.
I was like, it is a unique sound, but I know they're trying to like convey that there's like the miracle of birth, right? But like special seems to both like minimize it and also like make it into something kind of good when babies crying is actually kind of a grating sound. Like, oh, they're alive, that's great. But they feel like they should have used something like more like miraculous. There's the word was a weird word.
Well, it just
to
seems
me.
like a note to the sound editor, I think.
Right.
Sound engineer.
Pull out that
Yeah, but, like,
special sound
special.
of babies
Special
crying.
one.
the special
Top
baby
shelf.
crying.
Nothing but the best.
Oh my god.
We switch back to our protagonist Palpatine, who has like every other scene, and he's plotting a unique political move that will destroy Lady Arcadia's influence with the Merchanters Guild and further cement his power with commerce and industry. So I'm already out again. I'm like, forget it.
Wait, what does he do with the galactic exchange rate?
But then he's struck down by a bad force feeling. There's other words they use to describe this.
No, you got it.
But you know what it is. Premonitions, a tremor in the force. This is from The Birth of Small Babies.
And not at all the direct Bible ripoff.
It's totally a Bible ripoff.
Yeah.
Um,
Goes whole King Herod.
I don't even know if
He
you
does.
can say you can rip off the Bible anymore. Like, everything has biblical allusions. Like, let's calm down on that one.
No. Everything's biblical allusions or Star Wars references.
And Star Wars is an analogy for
I mean, it's a ripoff if you don't get permission from the original author, you know?
That's true. So if you don't get Jesus's permission,
I think
then,
it's St. Peter, actually.
yeah,
You
there's
know-
a lot of authors of the Bible.
King
Let's
James?
just put that. The Council of Nicaea, you have to ask them.
think
Which
King-
books are allowed to rip off and which ones do you destroy?
We can ask King Jim if we're allowed to.
That's actually a really good point, though, Dom. My working definition of fan fiction is that there needs to be a single author who can be identified. This is so that the like whole Arthurian canon or like all
Sure.
Greek myth is not fan fiction for our working work. There needs to be a distinct author that you identify, and the author of the fan fiction needs to have not gotten the permission of that author or their estate. So the New Testament, a lot of it is actually fair game to write fan fiction about. Like,
But there's not a single author of the New Testament.
but from my mind's just blown. There's all kinds of Revelations fan fiction. There was absolutely a single author of Revelations, and people write fanfic of it all the time,
There's the...
and they don't have his permission
there's that
or
whole,
that of his estate.
whole movie franchise, like Left Behind or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for next
Oh,
week, we're going to be
yes.
reading
Oh
Left
my
Behind.
No. What have I done? Undo. Control Z.
With that, the kid from Growing Pains?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
I know, but the name's not going to occur to me until the mic's off.
All right. Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
We will table that idea for later. The point is that now
Yeah, sure.
Palpatine senses the birth of a son that would one day challenge his power, and, nearby. So like a normal sane person, he orders every newborn son killed.
King Herod special, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The text says the character should be played much like Herod's in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Yes, and the author also states that when this does happen, it should be like implied and not explicitly shown, such as in many depictions of like it reminded me of depictions I've seen of like the Moses story. Like remember the animated film Prince of Egypt?
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't out at the time, but like I've seen other depictions of this where it's like the Holy Ghost sweeps through and kills the firstborn child, and it's like it's all implied, but it's
Right.
very harsh and
Yeah.
like visceral. That was kind of the impression I got.
They mention it to not show it in order to keep the reading down.
There's actually
Right.
several times of brutal
But it
violence
is
in this
very
script
terrifying.
where the author's like, but don't show this directly. Do it more artfully than that. Which is kind of nice notes.
Including the fake scene of the murder.
Right. The fake scene that...
Of Lady
Anakin
Skywalker's
sees.
murder. Yeah.
Right. And then...
That was good that they mentioned that too, you know?
And then we have
way.
something that I did not like in particular from the real episode 3 happening again in this 1986 or whatever episode 3.
The Order
1983,
66
and
montage.
That's right.
Still very strange because I had to recollect and realize that the Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker battle still happened in this.
A while ago.
Like when they fought, and that somehow was the thing that destroyed Anakin's body. That's
Right.
never implied in the movies. Like,
What?
isn't
Wait,
it?
what?
Is
What?
it
Implied in the original trilogy.
in the original trilogy?
No, I think that was... I don't know what
Like
the state
I don't
of the
know where they
expanded
got that
universe was.
idea. in
Like,
it.
who
It-
knows?
Like, yeah, I don't know. So anyway,
But
just realized that.
The
So
point is,
moving
this
on.
is just executive order, whatever.
66.
happening. 66.
Looked it up.
And so, people busting into an exotic saloon and eliminating a Jedi there, because
It
that's
was
where
actually a
Jedi hang out.
lot cooler than the actual prequels Order 66 montage.
Why is that?
Original Order 66 montage was just a bunch of Jedi moving with the troopers, and the troopers would just stop and turn and shoot the Jedi.
No, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah. This is like hunting throughout the galaxy. You could imagine the kind of stories that went on. It felt more interesting.
Oh, yeah, I see. You're right, they didn't do that originally. So the fact here, that what I was just talking about under my breath, where they barge into Darth Vader and a handful of Palpatine's assassins, barge into an exotic saloon and eliminate an alien-looking Jedi amidst screams and mass hysteria from the patrons.
Yeah.
And it's like a montage of Jedi being murdered all over the place.
And also Jedi being murdered personally by Darth Vader and Boba Fett.
Yes.
That's right.
Which is kind of
Because
awesome
those
stuff.
are the people who were ordered to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the remaining Jedi Knights make a final stand so they can have a set-piece fight scene.
Right.
And, that's fair. And they manage to kill a lot of people, and then they're killed. And that's how things go.
Right.
So this implies that Boba Fett is fairly old by the time the original movies start, because Luke's still a baby, but he's
Yeah.
only like 18 at the start, so he's
Right.
not. I guess he could have been like 20, and then 38. That's not that.
Yeah,
old.
like as a 32-year-old in 18 years, I'd like to think I could still go murder Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, totally.
Some things
It's just
as long as you keep it
funny.
up, some things you never lose.
Right.
yeah. No, it's just funny because like you tend to think of characters
murdering
as
Jedis is a
being
muscle,
in in their 30s or in their 20s, but Boba Fett's I guess like been grown for a minute.
And so the thing is, this Jedi murder is clearly not happening all at the same time. So there must have been a whole lot of hunting and traveling around, and the time frame I do not really understand.
Yeah.
At the end of it, Vader looks over the battlefield, takes a deep breath, and says, "Kenobi, I will deal with you myself." And Obi-Wan hears that, but they're on a spaceship. And they're going somewhere where there were Jedi, and he finds the dead bodies of the Jedi, and he builds a pyre.
Good job, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, too late. So yeah, the time frame's unclear. But the protagonists make it to Alderaan. And Bail Organa's there. No word about Satch. But he's, part of the proto-rebellion, like people who are worried about the whole situation, and kind of recruits them in to help out. They need to... they're evacuating the Alderaanian embassy, I guess. I don't know. What's going on? A bunch of stuff is happening.
Yeah, they're evacuating their holdings on Jantor or whatever.
Yeah.
And trying to make it out of the system alive.
Vader gets to go back and report his success to Palpatine. And Palpatine's like, okay, what about Obi-Wan Kenobi? That one guy with the cool name. And Vader's like,
Whoops.
yeah, we've got a private matter to settle.
No, dude, I got it. I got this. Don't even worry.
Yeah.
Not even a second. This is all me. I'm sorry, my bad, but I will get this.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 shipping lanes. And and Palpatine kills Valerium because he's like, oh, my control, which I have seized now, talking to all my underlings, is predicated on everyone doing what I say and not failing me, or else I kill them. And remember how you failed me, Prince Valerium? I'm killing you now for it. I was just waiting for a good moment to make an example of you.
Right.
It wasn't that I wasn't going to kill you. I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding there.
It's just the staging wasn't right.
Exactly. The fate of those who fail me is death, says Palpatine. But you two should keep that in mind too, just
Okay.
as this podcast goes forward.
Wait.
What? I gotta read that contract better.
We have a contract?
The fate of those who fail is death.
So I realized I was mistaken before. Our protagonists are not gathering on Alderaan, they're gathering on the Alderaanian embassy on Jantor.
Right.
And that's where Bail Organa is. And, Arcadia and the babies and Antilles get there, except Antilles is actually, not present mysteriously for some reason. Obi-Wan gets back, and he's like, oh, all the Jedi Knights are dead. And everyone's like, shit. And we get our kind of end of the movie setup for the action, which is that Palpatine's taking control of the Starfleet, which, is that what it's called in Star Wars? This is not suddenly a Star Trek crossover?
I think that's a general term for
okay.
a fleet of starships.
A fleet of stars.
Wait, what?
You have your star fleet, and you have your ocean fleet, and you have your land fleet,
Oh, yeah.
your
that's
sky
right.
fleet,
Your droid fleet?
your plasma fleet.
Yes. So Palpatine's Starfleet have formed a perimeter blockade. They're trying to get any, kind of political dissenters dead, including Bail Organa, to prevent him from leaving and force him to surrender his ground troops. Actually, the copy I have says ground oops, but I assume it meant ground troops.
You never know.
Leaving and force him to surrender his ground. Oops.
Yes.
Oops, that was a mistake.
Oops. What did I do? Oh, no.
And he's about to surrender when suddenly a bunch of Merchanter Guild members show up, representatives from a bunch of other planets. They've got, a bunch of ships kind of hastily loaded for combat, and they are with them.
Not even Merchants Guild. Merchanters Guild.
Merchanters Guild. And that's who Antilles was off rounding up. And, both Bail Organa and Lady Arcadia were involved in the formation of the Merchanters Guild. We're supposed to probably know these people. If this was the third movie in a trilogy, we'd probably be like, oh yeah, it's that guy who was
From the first movie.
From the first
Yeah.
movie. In the
So in the
crowd.
background for a second. Yeah.
Right. And they get ready to run the blockade.
And this brings everybody's spirits up, and they have a big space fight in space.
Yeah, very Star Wars.
Well, I mean, a few other things happened before that. Obi-Wan has to have that awkward conversation with Lady Arcadia where he's like, it might be that person you loved is a hideous monster now, more machine than man.
Yeah, not maybe the most delicate way to put
They didn't have to sell it too hard, though, I think, right?
No, she was like, yeah, it's been a few months. The relationship's been going downhill.
It kind of
I
implies
kind of
that...
just figured he would have turned into an evil robot.
It implies that there's something before this that informed that.
Yes, which does help, the whole why did you fight your best friend to the death sort
Right.
of thing, which I failed to acknowledge before when I was suggesting that the evilness happened more later than anything. I will admit my mistake because he must have been evil before if Obi-Wan was trying to fight him to the death. So what else?
Right.
And this is also when they arrange for the children. And Kenobi's like, I'll take Luke to live with my brother Owen on Tatooine. And it makes way more sense for Owen to be a relation of Kenobi's than a relation... Isn't he a relation of Anakin's in the actual,
Yes.
prequels?
Owen and Beru, no, they're relations of Anakin's mother, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, Anakin's mom was sold
Right.
as a slave and then became a wife.
But why would you leave Luke there? Like, wouldn't
Yeah, it
Darth
doesn't
Vader
make a
maybe
lot of
go
sense.
check sometime? I don't know. Maybe?
Yeah.
Like, isn't
Yeah.
the possibility there?
Because
Anyway.
Anakin is from Tatooine. Yeah, I think that was what was implied by the prequels, though I don't remember directly. I'm sure Eddie, greater fans could tell us.
But definitely your own sibling makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
Certainly.
Especially if I'm sure Kenobi knows whether Anakin knows about his family situation, right? This must not be common knowledge that he has relatives on Tatooine, this backwater dust ball.
I mean, I'd be embarrassed to tell people about it. I'm embarrassed to tell people that have relatives in Idaho, probably. You know, same thing, right?
But
Definitely
then
seems similar.
Yeah.
arranging for Leia to live as the daughter of Senator Organa on Alderaan makes less sense.
Yeah, but their hands kind of tied by continuity at that point.
Well, they didn't have to make Bail Organa a well-known, like, kind of
Senator?
political opponent of Palpatine, right? Whatever. The point is then we get a Star blockade run action sequence.
Right.
The author makes a note that, like, Star Destroyers, Death Stars, and TIE Fighters have not been developed yet.
Because they're not an empire on war footing
Right.
at the moment.
They've got heavy cruisers, destroyers, and spacecraft carriers, blah, blah, blah. And then, fighting happens.
Space fighting.
Yes. Probably some people shoot targets that are as small as a wombat nest.
Womp rat.
Womp rat. Wombat. I'm sorry, space wombat.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm sure it would look cool in film.
And then, like, redone 20 years later.
Redone digitally.
In shitty CG.
Yeah, so Owen is Anakin's stepbrother because his father remarried Anakin's mother, Shmi.
Yeah, that is the last
what I
person I
remember.
would leave a baby I was trying to hide from Anakin
so
with.
literally, like, yeah.
It's like, even as an evil dictator, emperor person, like, they'd still check on their mom and their mom's family, right?
Like, you can't
Yeah.
rule out the possibility that they will.
Or that someone will.
Right.
Or that the emperor will look
Right.
down relations of Darth Vader in order to keep Darth Vader in control.
Sure. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What else?
the space fight ends with, like, Palpatine's Starfleet destroying or capturing a bunch of vessels, but scattered throughout the galaxy were rebellious pirates and outlaws that he would one day have to deal with. So it's seeded that this is where a lot of the, future military force of the rebellion is going to come from.
The Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, the Rebel Alliance.
Rebellions.
Rebellions. And so that's cool. Like, that seems well done to me. And then you've got 3 scenes of epilogue.
We have Giantor, Emperor Palpatine, with Darth Vader, the Darth Lord of the Sith, at his side, smiles malevolently as he plots his next move as his assembled troops chant, "Long live Emperor Palpatine, long live the Empire."
Alderaan, Lady Arcadia Skywalker, now a common servant in the Organa household, sings her daughter to sleep under the watchful censors of R2-D2 and C-3PO, while Bail Organa awards Captain Antilles with a commission in his service. Now, that, unlike actual Episode 3, fits with the continuity that Leia remembers their mother some.
Yeah,
and that she
yes.
died when she was young.
Yes.
And, like, she knows that, Arcadia Skywalker was her mother, probably, and then she'll, she, whatever, knows she's adopted by the family, whatever. That is well set up also.
It's a nice end of a story.
And finally, Obi-Wan delivers the infant boy to his brother, Owen Lars, and disappears into the desert wasteland. He's just like, here's a baby.
Oh, catch it, not yours.
Well,
No take-backs, no tag-backs.
there's been a lot of implication that Bale and his wife wanted to have a child, but
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but also, at least as of A New Hope, they don't seem to be very fond of Obi-Wan.
No.
They're like, oh, that old coot.
I mean, they showed up and then gave him a kid and walked away.
Yeah, I guess that's the last time they saw him.
No child support, nothing. Yeah,
That's a
you know
good
how hard it is
point.
to raise people on a desert planet? They have to farm for water.
Well, maybe the implication is that Obi-Wan was like, "Hey, I found a baby. You should probably just have it." And they're like, "Chill, a baby." And then they're like, "This is Darth Vader's kid." Obi-Wan, come on, man. You could have mentioned that before. Sorry.
I'm not
Drop
sure
my phone over that.
I'm not sure he mentions that ever, though. And all he does is disappear into the desert wasteland, awaiting the day when Luke would claim the lightsaber of his father from him and become a man. Now, I still have not claimed the lightsaber of my father, so...
No.
So you are not a man.
I am not a man.
I'm
Yeah,
not exactly
I haven't
looking for mine
either.
yeah.
But that explains a lot about us,
Yeah.
Tom.
I think if I found it, I'd toss it somewhere.
Yeah, just like the glove.
I'd probably eBay it, I think.
Yeah.
Probably get a nice chunk of money for that.
Wait, this makes me a man? Let's get rid of it as fast as
Maybe
possible.
trade it for like a Pokemon card.
It's a vintage lightsaber.
Yeah, vintage lightsaber.
What's the thing that makes me not a man?
No lightsaber.
Oh, one of the
Obviously.
ancient Mew cards.
There you go.
I already have like 3 of those. That's not a...
Yeah, I have 3 also. I'm just saying it explains a lot.
So that is the fall of the Republic. Now, I think I had more fun talking about it with you than I had fun reading it. But that's not to say it's bad. Like,
It was a nice little thing. It was a short script. Took like, what, an hour to read or something?
yeah, it's like 6,000 words.
Yeah, it took less than an hour. It was 29 minutes for my phone to read it out loud to me, and that's like slower than
I was not paying
reading.
attention to the time.
that's
Yeah.
slower than reading with your mind usually. Anyway, my main point is it was just way better than the episode 3 that we're familiar with.
But like, if there wasn't a terrible episode 3, would we still like this?
I think that I would like it.
I would like it fine, I guess.
Yeah. I think I would like it in the sense that it provided an explanation. I think the parts that I would object to are mostly the parts that were similar to the episode 3 that we're familiar with.
I was prepared to be grumpy about the MacGuffin crystal at the in the opening crawl. I was like, oh, it's all going to revolve around some mystic crystal, and it immediately gets broken and doesn't matter to the plot. And I was like, oh, that's great.
That is kind of nice. Yeah.
Like that seems very. Maybe it's more like the new Star Wars
It
movies.
just adds into a
Honestly.
little bit of lore for Vader's lightsaber.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
It reminded
And
me... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it also, would be a twist if you were doing episode 2 and it was all about, the crystal. And episode 3, it's like, oh, no, never mind
Episode
the crystal.
3, Anakin dies, crystal shattered, first 30 minutes.
Honestly,
Right.
it really reminded me of some of the extended universe stuff, like especially the ones about the kids, like Leia and Han's kids, where like a lot of it is finding the crystals for their lightsabers, and like as they go through the new Jedi Academy, they have to find like the particular crystals for their lightsabers. And I really liked when they explained that in the extended universe books, which weren't out yet at this point in time that the author had written this, but like it reminded me of that, and I liked the feel of that because it also felt very Star Wars. Like there's kind of a mystery in this, in the world of Star Wars. Like midi-chlorians were awful because they made it like a weird like
They made it medical.
They made it medical. Yeah, that's not fun.
I still bring that up every time I see CJ now. I try to work that into every conversation. Midichlorians.
Poor CJ.
But don't you think that's too much emphasis on the specialness of crystals? Because I remember when I was a Jedi just swapping out the crystal in my lightsaber all the time to eke out an extra +1 to damage.
No,
or,
you have to
circumstantial AC
find
bonus.
Your own special crystal. You
No.
have to like search for it for like years, right?
I remember having at least 2 lightsabers at any given time and swapping out each crystal to get the best, addition.
Absolutely. And one was
Stop
purple
it.
and one was also purple.
You're ruining my childhood.
Mine were different colors, I think, just out of necessity for the min-maxing. Those crystals just happen to be different colors.
I think KOTOR is the highest point of Star Wars continuity, Tori, and anything that contradicts KOTOR is probably wrong.
I'm not gonna say I don't like KOTOR, but I do think it takes liberties with what I consider to be the real Star Wars.
Yeah, there wasn't enough Mandalorians in this, so I'm not so sure.
Oh god. No, the fewer Mandalorians, the better. That's how I feel.
So, in terms of things to complain about, it is kind of annoying that this is episode 3 and and there's references to things from episodes 1 and 2. If you're gonna make your own prequel trilogy, maybe like
Make your own trilogy.
make your own prequel trilogy.
They literally made reference to things that they had not written.
Right.
That was distressing.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but apparently not.
Well, anyway. Apparently it was popular enough to be, and well enough written to be proclaimed to be the actual script for potential episode 3.
By people who didn't know what they were talking about, yes.
Yeah, but, well enough to be popularized as such, so,
I think I might pay $4 for this. I don't think I'd pay $15 for
But
this.
$4 in 1983?
Yeah, geek stuff is more expensive than regular stuff, so
Alright.
as geek stuff goes,
And
even with
remember,
inflation,
you
that's
can't read it on the internet either.
No.
In 1983.
Exactly, so... I still don't know how I'd feel. I definitely wouldn't pay the $15 in 1983
Definitely not, no.
because
No.
that would have been like $30 or something.
No.
That's too much.
not if George Lucas themselves was trying to give it to me.
No, thank you, George Lucas.
George, no, I got some other shit to buy. No.
I'm gonna write my own.
Well, if we're still on the complaining part, this being a spec script, which is apparently what you actually a story treatment. This being a story treatment, which is apparently what you actually call
I don't
this.
know. We should ask a Hollywood person.
The only other thing is that it doesn't really give me a sense of the characters. Like I don't know what Bail Organa's like really, or Captain Antilles, or Skywalker. Like I can kind of I know Obi-Wan from the original trilogy.
Or even
So-
Vader, really.
Even Vader. Palpatine kind of gets a little better, but that's because
more
he's
of a personality. Yeah.
but that's because his personality is mustache twirling villain. Like
Yeah.
I understand that
It's
personality.
like, I think if I got this, I'd be like, okay, give it a second pass and come back to me.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and like write in punchy dialogue like Star Wars needs.
Sure.
And, you
yeah,
know.
there was no dialogue really.
No, like the dialogue that he puts in is like this is where it's important for these people to convey specific information to each other.
Yeah.
which
Yes.
makes sense given what this is.
So there's a lot of room for like a writer's room to fill it with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the attention to continuity. As a total geek, I like that he took what is known is in continuity, like what is known from the original trilogy.
And it felt like a better explanation about how the Emperor took over
Yeah.
than just getting one vote and then it becoming the magical mystical
Yeah.
Yeah,
Emperor.
it's basically a coup, but only once he has seated a bunch of other people who are in his pocket, and so that seems totally
It's
fair.
sort of a light Caesar style coup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that would have always been implied if we'd known he was a senator. I'm just trying to rack my brain to remember if we knew that at that time. So that's a little frustrating.
That's unknown, and there's no way
Yeah.
any of us could possibly know, Tori.
No, I do
we
know.
could
It's impossible.
No, okay, never mind.
Unknown knowledge.
We just can't know.
I know.
Thank you for
They
that,
do play,
Amato. I
play
won't even try.
like episodes 4, 5, and 6 on TV all the time, but no, I didn't know.
I may, yeah, like, we
Like,
can watch those
who
in any
has the
possible
time?
format. What I was going to say is, yeah, it was hard. I had to read it twice because it was so short. I feel like it glossed a lot. Though, even though it glossed a lot, and I guess I consider this praise, even though it glossed a lot, you still got a lot of flavor. You got an idea of a story, even though it was so very, very short. And I think part of that was because you could fill in the blanks with your knowledge of the flavor in the universe of Star Wars. Like, especially if you do have like, knowledge of extended universe stuff. Like, the flavor that the authors captured here has really kind of thrown you into the universe. You can fill in a lot of the gaps.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that, we brought up as questions, like, why did that happen? But it was easy for us to speculate on because the author has kind of predicated their story on the fact that we would have that background.
Yeah.
And that worked.
And I think that process would even be kind of fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun to fill in a lot of these gaps. I think
Totally.
that the Yoda
That's why I read it twice.
the
you
Yoda
know?
expository thing needs some work, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not top tier Yoda.
No.
But yeah, there's like you can't be too angry at it because it's a pretty serviceable effort for what it's trying to do.
There's really nothing to be angry about. It just reads like a first draft that needs to be fleshed out.
Which,
like,
like-
it kind of begs to be fleshed out.
Yeah.
That's the only frustrating thing is like, why didn't you flesh this out? Like, there's so much potential. here.
Printing costs, Tori.
It feels like hopeful and full of
guess.
potential. It kind of
Yeah.
lifts you up a bit.
It does.
yeah.
We are used to reading fan fiction that was published on the internet, and so it can be 17,000 words, or it can be 170,000 words, or it can be 1,700,000 words, and it
this
doesn't really
was
matter.
what, like 1,000 words?
6,000.
Yeah.
And
Not
and
very
they
many.
were printing it on their own dime to distribute at like conventions and hope people would pay a few bucks for them.
Though, to be fair, it was written in like more of a storyboard format than a narrative format, so they were able to convey a lot more story in that 6,000 words. But yeah,
So I think we thumbs up if you like Star Wars and like alternate Star Warses and are angry at the prequels to the low level that probably any Star Wars fan is, then I would recommend checking it out.
It's not a huge
Yeah.
investment of your time.
No, it's not.
no, it doesn't take very long to read. I definitely think it's worth reading. It definitely made me feel like I would definitely substitute this for episode 3 in my brain at any given point in time and be totally happy with that. Like, I mean, not that that's saying much because episode 3 was probably the worst of the movies. Sorry, but that just is. My point being, this actually made me feel like, something to replace it with. It's similar, but much better.
I think we're anxious to find something to replace the prequels with.
We are.
Yeah.
But this does it very well because it has certain parallels while being ultimately just 10 times better.
By the way, I'm not sure I'd pay $4 in 1983
What
because
does that come to?
it comes out to $10 of current buying an hour.
I have paid that much for doujinshi, but it would be like something really thick.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
6,000 words.
And,
It's not
yeah.
that many.
I pay like $5, I think,
With
equivalent
a
today.
nice cover that has
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
unlike
Yeah.
this one.
Yep.
In any case,
Though, I'd pay the $10 now, given that it's helping to replace my horrible memories of the actual episode 3. Just saying.
Oh yeah, for now, yeah, definitely.
At this point, yeah. Like, if I had to pay $10 in order for this to replace my memories of episode 3, totally would have done it.
But like, would you buy those? Like at the time, the only 3 movies are out. 1983. Here's a
You're anxious, like
you're
eager.
anxious for
Yeah.
anything.
and you're talking about knowing full well that it's just a fan treatment,
Yeah.
not from Lucas, right?
But that brings me back to my earlier question, like how many fan treatments were out there?
I don't know. This is the famous one, though.
Like, yeah, this is a famous one, so I don't know.
If that's the only one at the con, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
And Tori,
Very
if
possibly.
if you're talking about replacing the original episode 3 in your mind, then when you write some Star Wars fan fiction, by all means, base it off of this continuity. And any listeners do that too.
Prefer to base it off of the already established extended universe continuity, but
It's
All right,
the Flynn verse or something.
Now that was Fall of the Republic, the Star Wars treatment by John L. Flynn, published in 1983. I did not mention where to find it online, but there's a copy on, I think it's Star Wars with a Z.com. The short link to it is bit.ly/rfrfall. And next time, we are jumping forward in time to 2002 and also forward in time to the modern day, but the magic modern day. I don't know where I was going with that.
What are you talking about?
We're reading a Harry Potter fanfic.
That takes place in the 90s, actually. I think.
Does it? Oh, all of it?
yep.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Yep. And
That is
in
a
this
long time
particular
ago.
fan fiction, Ginny was born in 1981, so
Well, there you go.
So it's 92 because Ginny's 11 in this.
yeah,
Are
which
you reading
surprised
it?
me because I thought I was similar to the age of Harry Potter, so
No, so when we read this fanfic, I will keep in mind that Power Rangers will be starting up anytime. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a year or so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there you
everybody
go.
watched TV. And
That's how I judge all time.
this is when Power Rangers started.
before Power Rangers, after Power Rangers.
Yes. I mean,
BPR, APR.
Pokemon is also an acceptable rubric. This fanfic is going to be The Very Secret Diary. It is a Harry Potter fanfic by Arabella, published 2002 again. It's pretty well known. It's very, very Chamber of Secrets. And so, if you don't remember Chamber of Secrets, I might recommend refreshing your memory a little bit.
It's like a prequel Chamber of Secrets.
I
kind of
think
like
it's first a
pre and
prequel, then
going
it is
through,
concurrent.
No, it's concurrent all the way through.
Oh, you're right,
What?
it is, because Chamber of Secrets
Oh.
starts before the incident where Ginny gets that journal.
See, I didn't read Chamber
You're
of
right.
Secrets,
Yeah,
so
it-
my
it
That was
bad.
your problem.
It starts with Harry Potter arriving at the Weasleys, and that happens a few chapters into Chamber of Secrets.
No,
Okay,
you're
there you
quite
go.
right.
And
Yeah.
that's where this fanfiction, there you
Yeah.
go.
You can find that, maybe other places, but there's a copy that was archived on fanfiction.net. It's not the original posting of it. The short link to there is bit.ly/rfrsecret.
And I'm already having a lot of fun reading it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So maybe check it out, or maybe wait
Yeah.
until we talk about it at great length
Actually-
and get distracted a lot.
Something that I have an opportunity to do right now that I haven't had before because I haven't pre-read a lot of our fanfiction before is, I think, I want to introduce that there's a trigger warning on this one for grooming style abuse. So if that is triggering for you, I would suggest maybe avoiding the reading of this one. And perhaps maybe we should start introducing trigger warnings in the future is my suggestion. So
I've had
there
to
we
put
go.
up one or two on the posts just in text.
Yes.
But you're right.
So
We
I'm gonna
probably
put
should
that one out
mention
there
that
right
a little
now.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, this one has a lot of that. So there you go.
This was episode 19 of Retro Fanfic Retrospective Fall of the Republic by John L. Flynn. You can find a copy of it on starwarswithaz.net, but the link there that you can follow is bit.ly/rfrfall. The intro song is The Weekly Fare off of the album Popey's Incredible Adventure by Komiku. The outro song is Run Against the Universe from the same album. You can find that album and other works by Komiku at loyaltyfreakmusic.com. You can find our website at retrofanficretrospective.podbean.com or bit.ly/retrofanfic. We also have a Twitter, which is #retrofanfic. And
At Retro Fanfic.
is that what you call it?
Yes.
Oh, a hashtag is a different thing.
Yes.
I am very good at Twitter.
We're all very great at
Yes.
all social media.
What are you talking? Is this about birds again, Amato?
At Retro Fanfic. If you have questions, comments, or thoughts about the episode, you can contact us there. You can send us an email at retrofanficretrospective@gmail.com. You could leave notes or reviews to the episodes or to our podcast in general, especially on, what is it, the Apple one, the iTunes one. That is especially helpful.
Yeah, that'd make us more discoverable on Apple iTunes.
Yes, and everybody needs to know.
Apple iTunes.
Yes, as opposed to the other iTunes.
We're so good at this.
We're so great at this.
I'm Amato.
I'm Tori.
I'm Dom.
We're just 3 Earth life forms, except that the birthplace of our species might actually be Coruscant.
John Tor, I think. Yeah.
John Tor, whatever, trying to be nice to each other. Until next time, take care.
Bye.
May some force be with you.
May one force be with you. Wait, no. Any force. Hey, what if we said something like, if we had a dropout here and you should write in and tell us how you think we got from point A to point B, and the best solution gets a prize?
I mean, something that'd be funny if we
An
actually had
original
listeners who would
art.
do that. But I think something along those lines is like,
I think
It
it's
could be
funny. Like, it doesn't matter if anyone does it.
Yeah.
Because, like, the most realistic prize is, like, me drawing a picture, and I'd be happy if no one made a submission and I didn't
Right.
have to do anything.